สวัสดีค่ะ Mr. President, Madam Chairperson, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the International Conference on Teaching, Education and Learning for inviting me. I am Assistant Professor Dr. Parichart Toomnan from the Faculty of Interdisciplinary Studies, Khon University, Nong Khai campus. 2 years ago, I was invited to be part of this conference as a keynote speaker. Last time, I talked about English learning and teaching in Thailand amid COVID-19. Today, I'm going to talk about how are teachers and students adjusting during post-COVID-19 in Thailand. Let me start with some information on the COVID-19 situation in Thailand. The first wave of COVID-19 outbreak in Thailand. Thailand began with the identification of the first case in the country on January the 13th, 2020, and has been ongoing since then. Since the pandemic arises, Thailand on March 17th, 2020, announced a 2-week closure of all educational institutions until at least March 31st, and so on. In Thailand, from January the 3rd, 2020 to July the 8th, 2022, there have been 4,540,955 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 30,798 deaths. The Thai government has ordered the closure of all local and international schools and universities in Thailand from Wednesday, March 18th, 2020 to help control the spread of COVID-19. During the severe coronavirus outbreak during April to June 2020, more distance teaching was being used instead of the normal classroom in order to prevent infections. This crisis made the institutions, which were earlier reluctant to change, to accept modern technology. The COVID-19 epidemic has caused a rapid classroom to online teaching paradigm shift, which requires the integration of technology into teaching. Everything must have a beginning. To effectively manage this shift, teachers must develop their own ICT literacy in order to conduct their classes through online platforms. The new change in education modality is an important concern on the part of university leaders and the Ministry of Education. In Thailand, most educational staff are convinced that retaining students to follow online courses is exceptionally problematic. Most of the educational staff are not experienced conducting online teaching. Activities include prepare teaching outlines, teaching instruments for the virtual classroom. As a result of it, making such innovations inevitable. This change was hurried and forced by circumstances, so this emergency online education, a lack of cautious design and development process. These have raised many challenges for both instructors and students. Here are a summary of the difficulties in delivering emergency online learning. Those difficulties are technology, socio-economic factor, digital competence, assessment and supervision, heavy workload, self-regulation, compatibility, interactivity, and teaching style. Thai instructors have to comply with the learning management systems, provided by their universities, they needed to extensively study how to use various online platforms, for example, Google Meet, Zoom, and Microsoft Teams, to facilitate their online teaching. It is important to note that each university uses different LMS. Indeed, each LMS platform carries different teaching and learning advantages and limitations of which instructors need to be aware when delivering online lessons. As a result, we need to adjust ourselves in terms of instructional management as well as evaluation. We have to develop and improve our instructional management. A variety of workshops, for instance, online learning tools, and online testing have been created and provided in order to help us to make use of them effectively. Meanwhile, learners are also required to be ready for online learning. During COVID-19 situation, learning management system is essential in operating e-learning. Instructor tends to use Google Classroom and Moodle. Zoom and Google Meet are often used for online teaching. Instructors often use Line, Facebook, and email for classroom communication. Moreover, Google Form, Kahoot, Edpuzzle, Padlet, Canva, Zoom Poll, and so on are employed to create active teaching and learning activities in class. More importantly, teaching and learning evaluation cannot be taken for granted. After having used innovations, we need to scrutinize and explore the weak and strong points of those innovations. How long do learners spend their time on their assignments? Are they getting better at their learning skills? Are there any delayed signals of their learning skills? However, the spreading of COVID-19 has effects on not only teachers and students, but also students' parents. No parent would deny the importance of education. Nonetheless, children's education was often one of the first things to be cut during the economic crisis prompted by the pandemic. This was particularly true of middle to low and low income families. In terms of teaching and learning system, in 2021, all students, both schools and tertiary level, were required to learn online 100%. Unfortunately, poor students had no access to online learning due to a lack of devices or internet access, while their home environment was in many cases unsupportive of such learning. As a result, the closure of schools and educational institutions affect directly to Thai students and the quality of education. Plenty of Thai teachers seek other ways to cope with their class besides follow the ministry policy, which focuses only distancing learning. Since the students' contexts are different, the teaching and learning management should be varied to respond individual learners. COVID-19 cannot stop us conducting research. Studies and experience have helped us learn more about the online instructional in transmitting COVID-19. Some Thai researchers attempt to investigate issues of online learning, for example, factors affecting online instructional management and perspective of teachers and students towards online learning. Learners' readiness for online learning, readiness factors and barriers in blended learning classroom, and the effectiveness of online learning tools. According to a study by Parichart et al. 2021, investigated challenges of student-centered learning in Thai higher education during the COVID-19 pandemic. The results reveal that most instructors feel that students' self-regulation and self-discipline, socio-economic factors, and limited interactivity are obstacles to students' online learning. Instructors had concern about fairness and honesty in online assessment, how to create SCL online teaching and student skills in using computer for online learning, and students' readiness in terms of equipment. Many instructors also were concerned about how to assess students online and how to avoid cheating and plagiarism. With different situations and oral limitation in terms of institutional support or online teaching experiences, there are the socio-technical aspects that the college instructors should focus on their effort and time to improve. Therefore, these issues should be taken into consideration for developing and improving the quality of instructional management. Recently, the Public Health Ministry declared the country to be in a post-pandemic COVID-19 stage. COVID-19 was labeled an endemic disease in Thailand starting on July 1st, 2022, allowing people to return to a normal life. Nowadays, all schools reopen nationwide. After two tumultuous years of living with the pandemic, students in all of the countries 35,000 schools return to physical classes, learning directly from teachers and playing with friends. This is the new normal Thai education system during post-COVID-19. Coronavirus is turning point of teaching and learning in Thailand. COVID-19 causes education reform in Thailand. Many institutions are creating and launching online learning courses and curriculums for everyone. In the era of digital world, lifelong learning and self-learning styles are often found in our new normal lives. A variety of interesting online courses are provided and launched for everyone. In terms of teaching and learning, it is necessary to start from the principle of realism and generate strategies that don't rely only on a single technology, but on several to ensure that all teachers and students are taken into consideration, or, which is equally or more critical, that technological solutions don't harm those who are already disadvantaged because no one should be left behind. The COVID-19 has resulted in severe economic and social impacts around the world. Personally, I believe that one problem has many solutions. There's always an opportunity in every crisis. Life is short, and if we enjoy every moment of every day, then we will be happy no matter what happens or what changes along the way. We don't know what will happen in the future, whatever will be. The best thing that we can do is to learn to live and live to learn. Then adjust ourselves and be ready to deal with unexpected situations. Learning must be continuing. Life skills should be taught and learned. Thank you very much for listening.